SOUQ morning, this lovely morning. I love the rain and when it does what it does to the weather. My name is Hans Mba. We shall take a quick break, and when we return, we'll jump right onto the SOUQ Business Landscape, across board looking at headlines and publications in business from across the world. It's SOUQ Business Landscape, and with me is my usual anti-usualist analyst. He's none other than Dr. Idahosa Osamhanze. Welcome to the show.
Good Nigeria, good Lagos, good SOUQ.
Yes, SOUQ morning.
And a great weekend, Ikenne.
I think people have come to expect that from you. And when you say there's that smile it brings, like you just picture good Nigeria, like,
I can see a Nigeria rising.
In your lifetime, like you are.
In my lifetime. A lot of things are happening. And then, of course, like they say, if you want to crack a stone, first hammer may not crack it, but they sure weakens it. And I think there's a whole lot of weakening going on in the faulty foundation of Nigeria.
Awesome.
And the rebuilding is starting. And in my lifetime, I will see a great Nigeria.
I love it when you say that. So if it happened in your lifetime, that means there's hope for the rest of us.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's jump right to it. Business day as usual. First headline, investor confidence back as CBN clears backlog. This is good news. So Yemi Cardoso was talking about $7 billion having been paid, dollars by the way, having been backlog having been paid. How does that make you feel?
Oh, always good to also know that in the last 1 year, that the federal government of Nigeria, under the watch of the CBN governor, had been fulfilling its obligations to investors. You see, there's been this argument that people don't bring money into Nigeria because we have security problem. We have a clumsy or complex environment to do business. That's not actually the reason. The huge reason was the fact that people feel they bring in money, you find difficulty taking your money out. In short, many business people who are risk takers, we prefer to put money even where there is huge risk, as long as you're able to take it out.
Take it back.
So the real thing that has been really hampering the economic growth from FDI perspective is the fact that for the 8 years that we had that big problem, people who did business in Nigeria were not able to take their money out. So if I'm not able to take money out, it will be very difficult bringing money in. So when you see a government that is committed to say, well, though we are not the people who got this liability or enter into this obligation, government is a continuum. We have a responsibility to offset whatever thing that the nation has owed to investors. And once we are able to offset this facility, you can see a lot of people coming in. And so you see, in first quarter alone, government able to pay about $7 billion US. That's huge.
It is.
And of course, you can see over 3 billion came in as foreign direct investment. So this is the huge issue that we face. And we are happy that the governor of Central Bank is working hard at this and turning things around in terms of meeting these obligations. And of course, people are confident now that if I bring money into this economy, I can take it out. And don't forget that when the president came in, I remember his visit sometime in July last year when he visited the U.S. and he said to them, Nigeria is open for business. You can bring in your money and you can take it out. And I think that's what we are seeing happening.
Awesome. It sounds very good. But on the flip side, if my third analyst was here, he would say stuff. He would say to such a headline, he'd be like, "What if this headline is for opts? It's for optics."
No, I don't think so. But we're just stating the fact. You know, some 2 weeks ago, there was this conversation that Nigerian debt stock has increased from 196 to 216 trillion. And so people were asking, was it new borrowing? And if you have followed that analysis, you discovered really that the debt only increased not because of new liabilities, but because the exchange rate had risen. And so you have recalculated the debt being denominated in naira. But the actual fact in the body of that text that we're up to June ending, the federal government has paid well over 16 billion US dollars to its creditors, and also offsetting investors who had put money in this economy. And that's huge.
It is huge. It paints a good picture. Like, it's just that when naysayers look at it, it's such a huge debt that when you pay something as huge as 7 billion, it might not be seen.
Yeah.
But because it's so huge, it's something fantastic, and it's a great thing that we see. Next headline: weekly billion-dollar crypto transaction come under FG scrutiny.
I wish Chooks was here.
He was the one I referred to when I talked about the last.
Unfortunately, it's not here this morning.
So
We need to beam searchlights on what is happening there. Because
sir, first and foremost, right, I will always like to point out that people are taking advantage of cryptocurrencies across the world. And why do we have a problem with it in Nigeria?
we don't have a problem with it. You see,
Nigeria thinks it doesn't exist. It thinks it's fraudulent.
No.
And it's discouraging people from
No.
getting into it.
No. You see, the problem is that if it is governed and regulated, we can take the risk. Yeah, you can say, oh, the P2P in Nigeria is fine. But while we're talking about P2P review, I had a very horrible experience, though not with crypto. You see, because I'm not sure that this news is not just about crypto. It's also
across board, digital.
Digital.
Digital
Because there's also investment aspect of it. People buying stocks, foreign denominated.
No, there's a slight lean into
Yes, of
cryptocurrency.
course, applications and the rest of it.
Yes.
There was this investment platform that came, and it was well advertised. In short, as a matter of fact, I hardly do such a thing. So I said to myself, and I said, wow,
This looks good.
this is too
Good to be true.
good to be true.
I know.
So I started to do research, and I discovered that these guys, their name was Kala. They had
Kala.
Carla.
Okay, Kala.
Yeah. They had physical office in Lagos here. They had SOUQ license from EFCC. We're registered with CAC. And then you can actually get to the platform and you see trading going on. And you can see how your investment is trading because it was said to be AI powered. And every week you trade, they tell you you trade. Then, of course, you can take your profits and leave your capital. And withdrawals were happening all within the bank. Overnight. In short, they even have, peer-to-peer review. There was a WhatsApp group created. There was a Telegram group where every investor and the agent, everybody we were all interacting in that platform. Overnight, the platform closed.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm laughing.
Yeah, the platform went dead. By the time investors ran to the office where they were,
Empty.
everywhere is empty.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Now you are going to ask EFCC, how come some of these people are genuine? But they went into thin air.
with people's money.
People lost money.
How much did you lose?
Your face hasn't changed. I don't want to talk about it again.
I'm so sorry to
It
hear
was
that.
lost in dollar. That was what makes it very painful.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So this is where a lot of people are very skeptical, because these Ponzi schemes, you cannot really track them on base structures and look at who are behind this thing. So if SEC says that there's a need to have a law in court that will regulate the digital platform where people do trading, it will just be nice.
And the good thing that does is when it is regulated, it validates it.
Yeah.
You give people confidence that, you know.
Oh yes, that
everyone
this
can.
thing is here.
So whatever happens, you don't lose your money because we are watching.
Yeah, because we're all embracing technology, but while we are doing so, we must also be very skeptical. I have also another now. I have been sending messages on that platform. No response. But I see that activity is no longer happening in the platform as it used to be. So all these that are working in our space, I think there's a need to have like an oversight.
No, correct. You're right.
Because once people lose money,
Can't get it back. No one is held
it's not
accountable.
it's not just getting the money back. The burden shifts to government. We are looking at dealing with suicide issues, mental health issues increases,
Crime.
and this put pressure on government facilities and public access. So these are the things, and this is why people really are watching, because if you know where these people are, and you say there's a government-to-government regulation. Yes, they are in America, but the American government is oversighting them.
Exactly.
So if there is issue, the Nigerian government can talk to American government. But here it is private citizen talking to private citizen. And by the time this thing happened, government can't come into it. And so government is saying all across the globe,
We can't protect.
please be
Cautious.
how you deal with these institutions.
Right.
Yeah, people are making money out of it. All the Ponzi scheme, those who started first, they always make money.
Clean out.
And those who now eventually came later, seeing it work, are always the victim. So this is a fear, and this is a worry. And I think they are not unfounded.
You're right. Correct. It should be regulated. Next headline: Dangote refinery seeks fresh 11 million barrels of crude oil as Nigeria struggles.
Yeah. It's been on the news.
Have we gotten there to where we're struggling with over 1.2 million barrels daily?
Well, recently there was a meeting between the IOCs, the federal government, and even Dangote to see how much of crude can be ceded to Dangote. Nigeria has obligation to some partners, and this is an agreement that we entered into even before this regime came in. And if we have sold some oil in advance and we have collected money, we are duty bound to fulfill that obligation. Now, this is part of the integrity that a government carries, that you enter into an arrangement with somebody and you are not going to come back one day and say, well, that obligation cannot stand. Because government is a continuum. And we must realize that. Yes, we are having challenge today, but see, yesterday, they helped our challenge. You see the balance. So we must be able to balance these two aspects. And this is why the IOC is saying, yes, we cannot give Dangote everything he needs at the moment. Maybe if the Melbourne oil wells are now working and we can actually get to the 2 million barrel per day quota that we have from...
Has it gone up to 2 million?
No.
That was
the quota that
1.5.
OPEC gives to us
1.5
is 2 million barrel per day.
Okay.
So we are not even doing up to the
standard, yes.
quota
It's
that we have.
What?
So if the country is able to produce the 2 million barrel, of course,
We won't have this kind of issues.
these issues won't be here. But we need fresh fund in that sector so that we can invest heavily because
Government willing.
yeah, experts have said in the last 20, 25 years, there have not been substantial investment in that sector. And that is what is slowing it down. So we need massive investment.
So in such a sector, and with government playing a huge role, where do you expect the investment to come from?
No.
Are we talking outsiders now?
Oh, yes, outsiders. And even locals.
What will be an interest for them when it's not guaranteed and we have this kind of issues?
No. This is a non-issue. It's a non-issue. Once investment come in, and that's why, of course, the first line was tonight and say CBN is meeting its obligation to its investors. So if people know that when they bring in money in the economy, profit is guaranteed, and the fund itself is guaranteed, they will put in money in there. And as we produce more oil, you see that we can meet our local demands. The petrol challenge is dealt with. The diesel challenge is dealt with. And a whole lot of things start to work right for us. So this is what it is. So that's why investment is needed in that sector. We need huge investment in that sector so that we can produce. Can you imagine Saudi Aramco doing over 9 million barrels daily? UAE doing 3.3 million barrels daily. So if we can get to that level or threshold, some of all these issues that we are dealing with, which has to do with our gap in terms of our infrastructure, we'll be able to handle it. So we need that investment and we need that understanding. But I was happy recently that the IOC says we are going to increase the stake of the crude that we are giving to modular refineries and the Dangote refinery so that they can increase. But in the interim, we know that this had to struggle for like some few months before we get to that point of stability. But it's quite very encouraging that these talks are happening.
All right, still in Africa, we're going to Business Daily. CEO bonuses of top NSE firms dip to 735 million shillings. So we're talking Kenya now. Payments are down 82 million shillings to lower profits. Not just that, a total dividend payout falls to 112 billion shillings. Kenya.
Again on the news.
Not just again. The news from Kenya usually is usually dips. And I'm wondering why.
Yeah, but it's to show to you how healthy the Kenya economy has been. And this is a really huge crisis.
It is.
Yesterday afternoon, President Ruto had to sack entire cabinet. Everybody was laid off because of the follow-up to the finance bill. So he want to rejig. Because it's a whole huge crisis. He had a national broadcast yesterday to Kenyans saying, I'm sacking all my secretaries and ministers.
It was a mess. It was a mess.
It's to tell you how bad it is. But you see, like I've said always, and this is also very peculiar to us in Africa, where government of the day has become our God.
Please expand on that, please.
You know, God is the spelling for God
Yes,
now.
yes.
And same spelling for government of the day in abbreviation.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So in Africa here, everybody's thinking that government is able to do everything. And this is even made worse by the oppositions who heighten the stakes without giving realities to the people and saying, this is our reality. If we come into government, we're going to do XYZ. They give you figures from outside and without tracing and tracking how those nations got to where they are. They didn't wake up one day and turn things around. You see, even in our country, some people we're still very helpful. So if a certain candidate had won election, Nigeria would have been fine by now. Because they cannot see the reality on the ground.
You
are sitting in your house and you are spending somebody else's money. You are not in his pocket. I usually tell people, I said, this is the way it is. When you are analyzing government, take yourself as an example, as an individual. You is talking. If you were that very cerebral, maybe you would have been the richest person in Africa. But you are not there. Why? You can list your constraints, but you don't want to see the constraint of those who are governing. That there are a whole lot of things that one man will have to contend with as a president. That is not as simple as you tell people.
But Doc, don't you think, like going to where he laid off his cabinet, don't you think it's too much of something strong? Because if you lay off a president, that means you've had plans. Let's assume you have 20 cabinet members. That means you already had pre-plans to recruit another new 20 that you're sure are eligible for the job. Not 1 or 2 or 3 people being laid off, a whole cabinet.
Yeah, only one secretary left.
It will shake up the economy.
Oh, it's huge. You see, it's a huge destabilization.
Yes.
Right there in Kenya. And it's going to make a lot of matter worse. And that's the point I was just trying to make. See, we create an ecosystem where we want business to prosper. And while we are doing this, we must understand that we don't plant corn today and expect to harvest it tomorrow. Which is the way many people in Africa thinks. We think that it is possible to plant corn today and then tomorrow we will be eating the combs. It's not possible. Nobody can do that magic. We even say it in our local adage, it is easier to destroy than to build.
True.
Because in the course of building, you have to be careful how materials are arranged so they don't create disaster. So these are the things that people must understand. Now, what you have done is that it's like you come into a system, become the head, remove everybody, and bring in new people. And you will be shocked that some people will use 1 year to look for the route of things connecting. Because you were not there. Somebody has been operating it for a very long while. So leaders must be able to sit down and look at the system, what has been running, and what can be done differently. So that's where Ruto finds himself, and that's why we're saying here, all these are indicators that business are not making so much profit, and so sacrifices are being made at the very highest quarter.
Kenya, still in Kenya. Kenya Revenue Authority nets 43.9 billion shilling in revenue tax amnesty. So this is also worsening the situation that we're talking about, or is it such a good thing?
Well, what it is, and I think we also did that some years ago, when government tells you and say, well, what you have is that in the last 10 years, you have not been paying tax. Come and assess yourself before government come and assess you. And that's just giving some soft landing for some people and corporations who have been evading tax for so long.
So
you know,
the amnesty, the tax amnesty, is it for certain people because of the nature of their business or because of the gross dominance?
You know, one of the big issues in Africa is that our tax base is so small. Only very few people pay tax in Africa. And I don't know why that's so. Except in regimes that are very well organized, like what Paul Kagame is doing in Rwanda right now. Most people in Africa don't pay tax. So what government is saying is that we want to enforce our tax law. And we know that many of you have not been paying tax. Before the laws and the regulation catch up with you, come and report yourself and regularize your tax documents. So a lot of people have to quickly come in, and then you open some incentive for people to come in. And so those people come in and they pay something. But that's what you see here. But you see, that's one of...
people that haven't paid tax in a long time, and it's such a high amount. What do such people do? What do you think?
We have to learn it.
Unless you can pay in bits and pieces like...
Oh, yeah, like they do in other places.
Like NEPA.
Yeah. But you see, one of the things that was so very profound to me about UK is how they lecture citizens on tax return. Every citizen is properly educated. And that is what we are not doing. And I think SOUQ News should take that responsibility to FRS and LRS to partner so that this procedure can be simplified, that people willingly come to do this business. You see, you must seek that partnership. Because once citizens know what to do and how to do it, it becomes easier for both government and citizens. So you know what's taxable, you know how to file in your documents, and then, of course, you are not enemy of government. You become, like they say, police is your friend. Government become your friend.
So it's a way to bridge the gap and have more people.
Yes, although we have a lot of arguments here against tax that say, because government is not meeting its obligation, therefore people are not paying tax. But the question really to us is like the puzzle of the chick and the egg, which came first?
To forever be a puzzle.
It will be a puzzle to be resolved. Because government will continue to argue is that if you don't pay your tax, we can't serve you well.
And people are like,
I say, no, if you're not serving us well, therefore we don't want to pay tax. So it's a huge puzzle. But I think that government can partner with a private institution, a station like you, especially who takes interest in policy development and business.
So that's what will be the outcome of such a partnership? So are you talking more regular trainings?
Not just training, enlightenment.
Yes, symposium, summits.
Yes, of course, enlightenment, public enlightenment.
Regular.
Yes, regular public enlightenment.
And moving from location to location.
So people understand that if I'm starting a business, what do I need to do?
Correct.
What obligation do I owe to the government? Which channels do I use in dealing with these obligations?
It makes things
What's the closest, stop for me? Now, once all these things is coming into the public space, people understand what they are supposed to do.
It makes things easier.
And things become very easy.
That's true.
My view.
Well, on to London. Financial Times. U.S. inflation falls faster than forecast to lift rate cuts hopes. So June consumer prices eases to 3%. Investors raise bets on two Fed moves. What are your thoughts on?
Well, government just changed in the UK. Let's wait and see what Labour will do.
Many times that wait becomes so long that you lose track of the things that you had your eyes on.
Oh, yeah. What politics does to a state is that as campaigns are on, promises are being made.
And things are standstill. Almost.
People's hope are being raised. You will see indicators trying to, balance up until you get to a certain phase and space, and what you discover is that, it may not be all that we need. But this could be the build-up to the recently concluded elections. And let's see what happens as Labour take the stage in the UK and see what policy that they are rolling out and how that will continue to drop the rate of inflation in United Kingdom.
All right, still on Financial Times. Fertility plunge. This is a special article that I wanted you to speak on, Doc. Fertility plunge will cause the world's population to shrink sooner than first predicted.
You see, very huge debate.
It is.
I saw a clip recently, and a guy, an African American, was talking about the alternative lifestyle, how it is designed. That the real question about LGBTQ is really not about same-sex marriage. That all the questions about transgenderism, they have nothing to do with lifestyle or people's ability to make choices. Yeah, but the design is actually to drag down fertility. That if people are allowed free to transgender, maybe in their 10s, in their 20s, in their 30s, and then all of a sudden they feel that, oh wow, I really like this lifestyle. Let me go back to how I used to live. Is there any hope that they'll be able to produce children? No. So he sees it more as a fertility war. And that is to shrink the population. But we look at China today. We look at Japan. We look at some part of Europe with aging population. And you can predict what the world will look like 30 years from now, 50 years from now. And this is where we need to actually tread cautiously in this world. That we have to be careful about the things we push or the agenda that we drive. We can talk about technology. We can talk about human inventions, the progressivism in science, and the rest of it. But I can tell you and bet that it will not take the place of humans.
Of course.
We will need people to produce robots because robot can produce itself.
That's a new one. That's very valid.
So this is where we are. And this is a challenge that the world faces, and we must not stand in war against nature, because nature will fight back.
Oh yeah. Still, well, we're moving to Asia now. Gulf Times business. Qatar. Saudi Aramco sells $6 billion of bonds amid fierce demand. There you go again. One of your favorite companies that are doing astronomically well.
I am just over-enthused about the GCC nation.
I know, right?
The Gulf countries. They're so amazing. From the UAE to Saudi Arabia to Qatar to Oman, they are just absolutely amazing people.
And what's exciting for me about them is they work together. They keep it in the family.
Oh yes, the night stays out together.
They keep it in the family.
And they're working together and they are moving and they are progressing. Look at the way they are democratizing their space without necessarily destroying their culture.
Exactly.
You just all of a sudden we see Saudi Arabia moving away from being a pilgrimage center to now becoming a tourist attraction globally. And they are shipping their money. On Wednesday, we're talking about same Saudi Aramco moving money into fuel vehicles.
And say we will stick there.
We will stay there. And this will last for a lifetime. And they're making progress. And that's what progress leads to. Success has many brothers and sisters, many mothers and fathers. Only failure don't. So you see, what it is here is that, we see they are making progress. Every investor wants to put money in there. Everybody wants to do business with them.
Yep.
Because you can see transparency, you can see openness, and this is accountability is in the fourth burner. This is what Africa need to emulate, and this is where we need to try. And you see, these are young people that are actually turning the curve in this country.
Right.
It's quite amazing.
It's so impressive. So very impressive. Next headline. Chemical industry contributions up to 6% of this Gulf region. Total GDP up 6%. Same thing we're talking about. It's not strange.
It's not strange anymore. These guys are just thinking. They are just thinking. And they are growing and they are expanding.
Wow.
And this is what we have not been able to emulate. And we have the potential.
We do. We actually do. Next headline. Foreign funds lift Qatar Stock Exchange sentiment. 6 of 7 sectors see mild to moderate buying. Now, this leans a bit away from what we're excited about, foreign investments. 6% is fair, not too bad.
Oh, yeah. See, this is market.
Up and down.
Yes, up and down. And so you see people putting money here, and you're seeing growth prospect here. You move it to this place, and you move it around. So you're looking at just 7 sectors, 6 sectors. So, but at least it does not say that other things are not doing excellently well.
That's just one of many sectors that's doing very well. All right, well, on to Bangladesh, still in Asia. Business Standard. Inside Elon Musk's plan to colonize Mars. It's a story to go and find on page 4, right? I just felt like it's something to talk about. Elon Musk is doing, how will I put it? He's doing the most.
Yeah.
He started this way before X, Twitter, and all that stuff. What do you think the plan is? Because what's the interest in Mars, if I may ask?
Well,
is it the next world? Is that where people are going to be moving to a certain caliber of people?
It is the audacity to dream. Audacity to dream and to conquer spaces.
But let's dare to even think further. What is behind this?
You don't need anything to be behind.
Is there something we don't know?
And really, they don't want to know. All that they're trying to do, look at space travel, for example. Kennedy woke up one morning in 1963 and he said, look, by the end of the decade, we want America to land a man in the moon and bring him down. That's ambition. It was an audacious goal. And everything was put together in NASA to drive this project. And every single American bought into it. All the people who were working in NASA, a cleaner was asking NASA, what are you doing here? And he said, we're trying to put a man on the moon and bring him back to the earth safely. By the end of the decade, a man was on the moon and he came down safely. Now, that has opened up a huge vista of new ways of doing things in the space region.
Doc, but see, right? We want to put the man on the moon and bring him back. We understand that. So you don't have to think too far away what the outcome of
you see,
that.
At that point, I don't know if you
see where I'm going to, Doc. We know that that's what's going to happen.
You see, for this one, time in 1963,
I understand that.
Who would have been thinking about going to the moon?
No.
Because it was not an ambition for anybody on the planet Earth. So what he is doing is the same thing that Kennedy did.
Now, that's where I beg to differ. Because now, he's doing a lot of things in Mars. He's trying to do space travel and all that stuff. So what will people be doing when they get there? Not just to go there and come back. It's beyond that now. Colonizing. So he's talking perhaps to live there, perhaps to build, perhaps to begin to acquire whatever the future holds for living.
See, what you're saying, when they say you want to colonize something, it doesn't mean that people are going to stay there. It means that you take ownership of that space. That's what it means. You see, in business, they call it the first mover advantage.
Correct.
If you are the first person to get into a space, you take over that space.
What's the profit?
You see, this is it. It is the value that will eventually determine what profit comes in it.
What's the value?
This is what I'm saying to you. At the time Kennedy was thinking and contemplating, they didn't have any value in mind.
That's what I'm saying. We knew what he wanted to do. It's like
You
saying,
don't know.
No, see what? See,
We don't know.
Let me paint a different picture. I want to go to Lekki
Yes.
and come back.
Yeah.
You already know.
No.
There's nothing I'm going to do there.
No,
I'm going somewhere. There's nothing. I've already told you. I just want to get there. When I get to Sandfield, I'll just look around and I'll come back. You know what I'm going to do there. Then this, on the other hand, I say I'm going to go to Lekki. I'll probably just be there for a while. I don't know if
No. You are
and
missing
when I'm
out
coming
on the
back.
point.
Okay, please.
You are missing out on the point. The point here is a vision. And you are setting an agenda and a goal for yourself. And say, I am walking into the unknown. And I want to find out what is in the unknown.
What if you can't come back?
That's a different thing. And that's the way Africa think.
It's not an African thing.
No.
If you had said,
See,
like you said,
Johnny Beatty.
if you say you go there and you come back,
No. Johnny Beatty, a Ghanaian philosopher, says Africa worship things they don't know. Europeans explore things they don't know. That's the difference. We always like the comfort zone. Why would that be coming to you? What if they don't come back? What if they come back?
if they don't come back, there's a life lost.
Yes, what if they come back?
Is it?
See, why is it as Africans
No.
that we are always wired to think negative and not positive?
It's not negative. It's thinking things through. There's a difference.
No.
Thinking things through.
No.
I'm going to go to Lekki. You're now saying because you don't know how you want to get there, you don't know how you want to go. You will have to know, am I going by boat? If it's flooded, am I going with canoe? If it's not, am I going to walk? So it's not fear now.
What they say to you, when you walk in your comfort zone, things that you already know, that people have already conquered, you cannot become a king.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what you mean.
No, what I'm saying is you must know.
You must know.
No, you must know. That's it now. You can't just jump.
That's why it is called science. It's research. You got to find out what it is.
Okay.
What makes this tick? In the process, there will be a lot of accidents that can happen.
Of course.
But what is fundamental is that at the end of the day, this thing come out beautiful. And people are happy to see beautiful thing. And say, because you cannot see it. You see, when this thing was created, before this thing, everybody didn't know what it was. He saw this huge dump site and he said, oh, we want to build something in here. Mm-hmm. And the man started the job and was working hard on it before he died. The day the president came to commission and said, we wish the man was here. The wife said to him, he saw it before he started.
True.
You are the one who is just seeing it. This is what I'm talking about. It's exploration. To go and find out what is possible. And this is what we as Africans must learn. So that we are not worshiping the unknown.
Correct.
And we explore the unknown and bring out value from it. And then what happens? People queue behind us and then we become the king. But as long as we are going to tread in the area where we know, we can only be follower because we cannot be king. So Elon Musk is thinking of becoming the king of the Mars.
Definitely. Colonize Mars, Elon Musk. Please colonize Mars so that we can come there, buy a few plots of land and do skyscrapers. And so we'll come to the tail end of the show.
It's your money.
Right. And partner too. It's hashtag SBL if you want to interact with us on social media, YouTube, across board. We are everywhere. SOUQ News TV. My name is Ikenne Hans Mba. Thank you, Doc, for being here on the show. Remember also that the main aim of this show is to see how Africa can gleam of all these good things happening across the world in business, economy, and development. See you same time Monday morning. Have a lovely weekend, which usually starts on Thursday on SOUQ and the Isle. Stay here.